Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Immersive Engineering. Today we cover the squeezer. So looking at this thing, you might think, well, it's not really too useful, and you're right, it actually doesn't have a lot of uses. It has two main uses. One is to, create plant oil, and the other is to create a little something else. Either one will be used primarily to boost your power output later on in the game. So let me first show you how to make this, and then we'll go over how to get it to function properly and to benefit you. So with this, you're going to want to start off with a simple recipe. Now it's under heavy machinery, and you can find it here under squeezer, and that will show you how you can get all the information about how to make one of these, including your entire total list. But for now, you're going to want to put down kind of a U-shape of steel scaffolding with a couple of fluid pipes down here. Very simply, it doesn't have to be facing in any direction, as well as a light engineering block in the corner. Next, you're going to want to stack that up. Grab yourself 4 wooden barrels, put them in the corner here, and then you're going to want a redstone engineering block. Put that on the end. And just to finish it off, you're going to need a little bit of steel scaffolding covering 3 of the barrels, and a piston right there. Now, in order, of course, to rotate the piston, you could, because it needs to face down, get underneath and try making it face down and stuff, but instead just right-click it with your hammer, and it should face in the proper direction. And you'll know if you have it right if when you click on here, it'll turn into this unit as you see. So remember, as you are making this, it has multiple sides to it. There's actually inputs and outputs on all sides of this thing. You've got a lever option here. You've got your power input here. You have an output for fluids here. You have an output for certain solids here. You have an input for seeds on the back in this corner. So you've got stuff coming in and out of this machine on just about every side. If you want to have a side that isn't going to have pipes and tubes and wires and stuff coming out of it, it's probably going to be this side that you click with the hammer. So when you set that up, keep that in mind. But you're going to want to output primarily using pipes and input primarily using probably some kind of item transportation system like a conveyor belt. Now, as I have set up here, I currently have a conveyor belt going up and into the back. You don't have to use both of these inputs. They are completely optional. It's just so that you can either pipe in from the back or from one of the sides, and that way you can have it actually flush up against a wall or something and not really worry too much about it. Now, in this case, I have a hopper hooked up with a bunch of the current inputs that you can put in here. Industrial hemp seeds, regular seeds, pumpkin seeds, and melon seeds, as well as some coal coke, which I will explain that shortly. But in the meantime, let me grab that out of there. So what this does, when you right-click on here, you open up the user interface, and it has slots over on one side for all of the seeds or other items that are going to be coming in here that you're going to be squeezing. Now, once this is running, you can see it currently has or can store 16,000 RF or energy units. And it will store 24 buckets worth of oil over here. Now, if I just have one seed, I'm only going to get 80 millibuckets in there. Let me put that in place. And you'll see that the animation is going, and you can see that it progresses and completes. And you don't even see it on here because you only got 2. It doesn't really give you that much. Now, if you use industrial hemp seeds, you're going to get a lot more. Of course, it goes at about the same speed here. I have it maxed out on its energy output, and you see it says plant oil 2, but it may not always update with the current stuff in here, so sometimes you're going to have to exit, put the stuff in, and then you'll have to let's see if I can actually throw it down on the proper area here. It has a little bit of a rendering issue with the current version that I am using. But you'll see that it will currently process. I can look in here. It still currently says 2, but I know that I've got a bunch more. So there we go. Let's put those in there as well. Now, if I put in a whole stack of these, as I show here, I've got 64. You can see that it is currently just draining out. That is what was actually happening here. Now, let me show you a little bit about what is going on. If I close that off, there we go. You can see that the plant oil is starting to actually build up inside. And you can see on the left here, it's actually processing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seeds at a go. and it can really chunk through the energy depending on how much you have coming into this at the current time. Now I have it currently hooked up to a creative capacitor cell, as well as using a high voltage cable. If you so desire, you can, let's take this off here, use low voltage. It's not a problem. So therefore there are certain voltage limitations with this, and you can see it will still power it just the same. Let's grab another stack of seeds here, put them in there, and you can see that it drained that power really quick, and it is struggling to keep up. In fact, you can see that it is no longer processing 8 at a time. It is attempting to do 4 at a time and really only doing about 3. So you're going to be limited by the how fast you can process your plant oil, by the amount of energy input, as well as, of course, the seeds that you're using. Now, each of the seeds that you have to choose from, as I showed you before, there's all this selection here. Let me turn this on. And this will start dropping these out one at a time, and they'll start going into the back. You can see that they're just plunking right inside there, and it is filling up inside. And each one of these seeds, pumpkin seeds and melon seeds, will give you about 80 millibuckets, depending on what you get. Whereas industrial hemp seeds will get you about double anything else. And industrial hemp seeds, in case you did not know, they're all grown up. They look like this, which is pretty good stuff, because you can automate this with pistons if you're using vanilla even, with Immersive Engineering, which can be very useful. Now let's move on to a little something else. Of course, I have placed here some conveyor belts that are intended to remove some stuff. Now this is what the machine looks like without the conveyor belts in place, and if I just right click on this, I will enter the user interface. Now if I press this here, I can therefore have it pull things out of it. Now if I choose to do something like this, you see that it's creating a ledge, and therefore it will not pull items out and turn them to the side. So you will have to have it come straight out of the machine, but then you should be able to fix that afterwards. Let's do a little bit of this, and then I can always break these blocks below. There we go. And then I can have automatic output. Now, what might output at this point? Well, this is where we get into the coal coke. For those that have watched other tutorials with Immersive Engineering, you may remember the crusher. Now, with this, let's put some coal coke in here. It should automatically deposit, and it will go into the crusher and get destroyed. Now, what is it that we're making at this point? Well, it's just going to come out because I don't have it filtered at this point, but we're going to be making coke dust. And over time, this can be turned into something a little bit better. Alright, so you can see that it is currently still processing seeds, making plant oil. Once that fills up, it will automatically stop. Alternately, you can just flick the switch, and it will stop on its next operation. Power goes back up, everything just holds in place. You can see it's even partially processing some items. So there are 3 seeds in the process of being squished. You can see it's in a downward motion. Now, the coke dust that I grabbed, let me get a bit more of that so that I can better demonstrate this. In fact, let's grab a stack here and get rid of that excess. Now, that's what this slot is for here. You can try and put that in here. Let me turn it back on. And I will take out the rest of the seeds, but nothing will really happen. So if I put this, there we go, unless you have 8 at a time, which you'll see that it actually goes into this slot here, which will then automatically output if you have something outputting there. So you can see here the HOP graphite dust will start building up. It takes 8 coke dust in order to make 1 HOP graphite dust, which can be used for multiple things later on. At this point, just know that you can do this, and you can always check out some other tutorials that I'll be making later. Now, alternately, there are other ways of extracting the plant oil from in here. You can, of course, insert the seeds through the back without any issues. Just throw a bunch in. It's going to start squeezing those. It'll keep the graphite dust here until I actually have something extracting these. There we go. And there goes the graphite hop dust into this chest that I have down here, which I can't open because I currently have a conveyor belt going into it. But if it was a crate, then I wouldn't have such a difficult time. Now, with that, I can take plant oil out in 2 ways. One is manually, with a bucket. You just drop 1 bucket in there. You could even drop a whole bunch in there, and every time you pull one out, it's going to have another plant oil bucket ready, and which you can then take these buckets and you can put them into appropriate containers. In this case, we've got, let's see, a wooden barrel, and we've got a metal barrel, and I could just dump it in there. There you go. No big deal. Of course, I'm in creative, so that stuff does not go away. It just stays in my inventory. Now, the other method you probably saw before. We have, let me clear this out here because we're not going to be extracting any of the HOP graphite dust. We're going to be extracting instead with a fluid pipe into these barrels. So I currently have it set up right now with inputs on both top of these, and they won't pull into each other because they're both going input. You then just right click, and there you go. It is now draining the plant oil. Very simple, straightforward, and it can be put into multiple containers as such. And then of course, if you need to, you can always just get yourself a bucket and click on the barrels that way, or you can import it into a tank, which is very recommended that you put it into one of these here. Let me fly on over so you can see we've got one of these tanks that you could always import it into, and it can hold 512 liquid buckets, therefore allowing you better storage options for your power needs. Now, typically, the squeezer is used to create plant oil. What is plant oil used for? Well, it's one of a two-part recipe in order to make biodiesel fuel so that you can generate a lot of energy to run certain high-powered machines. So, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know that I always enjoy myself a little bit of immersive engineering. Don't forget to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, spread the mischief to others if you think they'll enjoy this content. So until next time, folks, I'll see ya.